So, Simon? What telescopes in your observatories? Looks like you had a
Uh,
couple.
yeah, we've got a 16-inch RCX 400, this is our main instrument. We've got a 14-inch RC. We've got an 11-inch CPC 11. We've got an older Celestron Orange Tube 11 as well. We've got a Skywatcher 120 ED, whole bunch of Dobbs, whole bunch of portable gear, refractors, etc. You name it. So,
How many club members?
there's 180.
That's a good sized club for a small area.
We're unusual because we actually own our land. We're the only society in New Zealand that actually owns our own location. Most of the societies either rent or they are on loans from councils. But we actually we're bequeathed the site by R.F. Joyce's family, and we are quite fortunate. We don't have to worry about people taking the site back and turning it into a housing estate, which has happened in some places in New Zealand. So we're quite lucky. We're out in the middle of nowhere. We got a lot of support from the council. Public love us. It's very popular. We can get 80, 90 people in every Friday throughout the winter season. We do clubs and groups, cubs, and then we also do a lot of activities with local council, city council, do things like Space Week. There's a kids festival in July we take part in where we get about 80 kids a night for 15 nights.
That's cool.
Coming out. We're busy. Yeah, real busy. Yeah.
That's very cool.
And we do things like local events, solar sidewalk, astronomy, and yeah. So we're a busy little society.
How many people are active? 170, but are
there's a good 80, 90 who are regulars.
That's a fairly decent percentage right there.
Yeah, and we've had a big surge in membership over COVID as well, and the same way as a lot of astronomy activities have taken a surge. So we have a big program this year. We have a program called the Castronauts, which is our juniors program, beginners and training programs for the newcomers. So yeah, gonna be a busy year.
Are you a member of the Astronomical League?
No, I'm not actually.
Y'all need to join that. It's very, very, very cheap.
Huh, okay.
Inexpensive.
Yeah, we're a member of RASNS, which is the Royal Astronomical Society of New Zealand. So.
Right.
We have strong links with our local university as well, who do astrophysics and astronomy, basically degrees. Of course, we've got Tekapo down to the south as well, which is Mount John Observatory, which is our one of our national assets, and an international dark sky reserve.
Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Alors, on est dans la dernière ligne droite en ce moment de l'entraînement, avant le décollage pour ma prochaine mission, la deuxième. C'est assez incroyable comme le temps passe vite. Et quand je regarde derrière moi, tout le chemin parcouru, c'est fou de se dire que ça fait déjà presque 12 ans à la suite de la dernière campagne de recrutement de l'Agence spatiale européenne en 2008-2009. À l'époque, c'était un ami qui avait lu l'annonce de la sélection d'astronautes dans le journal et qui m'en avait parlé. Alors, il avait pensé à moi parce que j'étais pilote à l'époque, j'étais ingénieur avant, donc je correspondais un peu au profil recherché par l'Agence spatiale européenne. Mais si j'étais sélectionné, au final, aux côtés de 5 autres Européens, parmi des milliers de candidats et de candidates, c'est surtout parce que j'ai tenté ma chance. Ça peut paraître bête, mais l'important, c'est avant tout de ne pas s'auto-censurer, de candidater sans se rabaisser de croire en soi. C'est le cas de trop de gens qui se censurent et pourtant qui pourraient tout à fait devenir astronautes pour toutes les qualités. Alors, n'hésitez pas, inscrivez-vous, même si vous doutez de vous, même si vous pensez qu'il y a meilleur que vous. En réalité, vous n'avez vraiment rien à perdre. Alors, allez postuler et rendez-vous à l'entraînement.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts with the Explorer Alliance presentation of the FirstLight Chronicles. This is our 22nd show. Our special guest tonight is Simon Lewis from the Canterbury Astronomical Society in New Zealand. We're very happy to have you on the show. Kent and I have a lot. This particular show that we do, FirstLight Chronicles, is to help people get started in astronomy. And we give them the ins and outs of telescope selection or how to go to a star party, these kinds of things. You're vice president of your club. And
Yep.
Well, first off, welcome to our audience. And it's great to have you, Simon. So thanks for taking the time out.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
Appreciate
What time is it there now in New Zealand?
It's just after 11 in the morning.
Oh, okay,
So,
not too bad.
yeah.
Not too bad.
No, it's a nice time.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Let's maybe have you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you're an astrophotographer. I believe that you're pretty deep into solar imaging as well. How did you get started? Was this something that you were interested in as a boy, or how did it go?
I'm your outright geek and nerd, as my wife would say. I've been involved in technology since I was a boy. I was the guy that was taking the TV apart with a screwdriver, you know.
Oh.
And space has always interested me. And I lived in the UK in Scotland for a long time. And the skies up there are just, you know, perfect, and they're an encouragement to get out and observe. So I've always been interested. And then when I moved to New Zealand, of course, you know, if you've got an interest in astronomy, New Zealand just begs you to get it back active. And so I bought some more gear after I moved down here and got involved with the local society. And I'm quite an active astrophotographer, and if it's a clear evening, the gear will be running.
Yeah.
And of course, I got involved with the Canterbury Astronomical Society here now, and was fortunate to be on the committee over the last few years, and doing a big push now to get outreach out there and get more involved with the public. And we're seeing the same surge in activity around astronomy as the rest of the globe is seeing.
Right.
So yeah.
That's great. So how would you characterize, you know, just the general interest there in New Zealand? Is it a small group, or are we talking, you know, age ranges and stuff? How would you characterize the demographic of people interested in astronomy there?
If I look at the people that come and visit our observatory on a Friday evening during the winter, it's a complete broad range. You know, we have the sort of older, mature, you know, adults who are taking up hobbies in retirement. We have younger couples. We have students. We're fortunate in New Zealand in that astronomy is part of our national curriculum at school. It's part of So teachers are very keen to, you know, get the kids along, and we do group visits as well. But it really is a broad range. And if I look at our membership is married couples, singles, students,
Oh, that's great.
young kids of, even kids of 3 and 4, they go mad and want to come and look through the telescopes. And we do a festival every July called Kids Fest with the local city, Christchurch City Council. We can fill our venue with 80, 90 kids every Friday, every night actually for Kids Fest, 15 nights. There is a big peak in interest, which has grown over the last couple of years. It's been quite interesting to see the growth, and certainly the society has gone from leaps and bounds over the last few years. So it's a hobby for everybody, and it offers so much. It's whether you don't have to be an astrophotographer. We got kids of 6 and 7 drag out the dobs and drag them out onto the terraces, and we just say, yeah, okay, away you go, go and drag them around and go look, see what you can find.
This image that's behind you, is this the clubhouse or the club observatory complex?
Yeah, so we're quite lucky. We've got a couple of acres out in the dark skies here in Canterbury, outside of the city. We're about 35-40 minutes out of the center, and this is the picture you can see behind me. On that side is our clubhouse. We have a dedicated lodge with kitchen and a library and equipment rooms. And the big dome you can see behind is our 14-inch RC Richard Christian reflector, and that's in a nice big dome.
Oh yeah.
And and this was built by the club members some, I don't know, 30 years ago, and it's really great because it provides a very nice sheltered spot for people to visit. But on an open night, we can have them out of the door there and queuing up.
Right.
And there's just one of a number of the telescopes that we've got there. We've got a few fixed telescopes, and then we have a lot of portable gear. And then on a club night like this weekend, we'll have people bring out the gear and set up on the terraces and just socialize.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. And plus you have the wonderful Southern Hemisphere skies and your incredible Milky Way. I got to see the Southern Milky Way from Chile during the eclipse in 2019. And I thought, wow, to even be further south, to see it must look even better. I was told by astronomers there that us in North America, that we don't really have a Milky Way, and I thought they were being kind of, cheeky about it. And then after about 3 nights of soaking in all that Milky Way light from down there, I was like, you know what, they're right.
So I was imaging this morning I started last night about 10 o'clock and finished up at sunrise this morning. And I got up at 3 to check some gear, and the Milky Way is now starting to rise. It's moving into our winter view now. Antares rising in the southeast of Scorpio, so that's the sign that the summer is coming to an end and the cold, icy nights are coming.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I'm thinking of summer,
Exactly. That's what I was getting ready to say. I mean, summer's coming here.
Right.
Yeah. Our days are starting to get longer, which is good. And last night we had certainly good view of the Milky Way, and of course we've got some of our sort of circumpolar objects like the Southern Cross, which are always with us. And last night we could see the Large Magellanic Cloud and the Small Magellanic Cloud, the two satellite galaxies that we've got. So yeah, it's definitely good skies, that's for sure, Scott.
So Simon, you're talking about getting together with people. Here in the United States, we are practicing, wear masks all the time and social distance 6 feet apart. How is New Zealand handling that?
So last year was a pretty difficult year for the society because we were in lockdown for a couple of months during our winter season, which really sort of cramped us. And we have a variety of programs operating at the society. We do a monthly meeting at the university in one of the meeting rooms up there. Of course, we couldn't operate those, so we did some virtual meetings, and then we shut down the observatory for some months while we were under strict controls. Right now, things are a lot easier. We've had a couple of days at a time where we've been in more stricter lockdown, but it's not been the same. So we're still meeting pretty much as normal. This week, actually, we had a couple of days where we couldn't get out, and we did actually go into a Zoom meeting. We jump on and share that. Saturday will be our members meeting, and we'll be back face to face in there. And we just taken the precautions, we've enhanced our hygiene and just remind people. We have a little COVID tracer app here in New Zealand, which is a little app on your phone. So you scan a little QR code at the door to track where you've been. So it's fine. We just we respond to it and just adapt.
Yeah.
Is that tracking required, or is it do it if you want to?
Under certain levels, it's required by organizations. So as an organization, we are bound to look after our staff and our visitors. So we are keeping in line with the requirements and restrictions, and it's good practice. We don't know when this thing is going to pop up, so we do encourage it.
We have a question from the audience. Cameron Gillis is wanting to know what season is the best time for us in the Northern Hemisphere to come down to New Zealand and do astronomy.
I would say the winter season. So June, July, August. That's only because of the longer nights. There is always we live in a strange place. So in the winter, we've got all of our lovely summer, our southern targets high in the sky overhead, and in the summer months they dip down and the Milky Way sets. But then we get the interesting northern targets that you guys got all the time, so that you tend to share them a little in the summer, and we get some glimpses of even the Crab Nebula and things that like Andromeda. So if you're in the far north of New Zealand, you can see Andromeda, or image Andromeda, but it's very low on the horizon, only maybe 5 to 10 degrees.
Oh.
And then
at least we got something up here that is really.
It's quite funny, Scott, because a lot of people go, "I love your southern skies; are fantastic. You're really jealous," and we're like, I see like the California Nebula and the bubble and the Pac-Man
galaxy naked eye. It's like
Andromeda, and I'm like, yeah, all these lovely targets too. So maybe we need to do it. Maybe we need to do a timeshare.
That's right.
So if you're visiting New Zealand, I would say if you're coming here for astronomy, definitely the winter. Long nights. It's dark at 6 and it's getting light at 7 in the morning. Generally cold, clear. If you go inland south, particularly around where I am, and then further south, you can get some very cold nights. Even though we're an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, inland can get quite cold and very, very clear. So, and of course, once you're away from the metropolitan areas, you don't have anywhere near the light pollution that you have in maybe North America, or certainly in Europe. When I lived in the UK, never see skies like this here.
Sure. Very interesting. Yeah, I can hear all the gears turning with the audience out there. Like, how can we get down there and hook up with the Canterbury Astronomical Society?
It's funny. We get so many visitors. I get emails from people going, "Hey, I'm when we weren't in COVID, I'm here visiting. Can we visit?" And we've had visitors from all over the world.
Yeah,
it's absolutely fabulous. People touring, see us, and then pop in for a public night, and then become members and stay in touch. It truly is an international community.
Right.
So I'm sitting here trying to get in my mind the latitude difference. Okay. So I've looked up. So for people in the United States, Christchurch, which is where Simon lives west of,
Okay.
is at 42 degrees latitude south. To put in perspective, that is roughly Omaha, Nebraska is at 41 and high change. So Omaha, Nebraska, and Christchurch are very, very similar in latitudes as far as daylight goes. So our winter right now would be his summer. So what we experience right now is what he will experience in what, 3 months, right? Yeah. Well, it's hard to make that summer winter flip in my head, because every time you'd say the summer, I would consciously think winter here, winter here. Yeah. Yeah. So that's just it.
It takes a little bit of getting used to, particularly someone from the northern hemisphere, because there are some subtle differences, like where the moon rises and sets and where the sun treks. Our sun treks in the north, not in the south. And when you come down, I remember when I first time I came down here, I went out into the bush in the South Island and did some astronomy. Took my binoculars and camped out. Looked up and was like, I don't even recognize where I am. Where is all the normal sort of signposts? They're all gone. So I have to relearn.
That's fabulous though. And the same thing happened when I went down to Chile. I just looked up at the sky and I go, okay, I could look towards
where am I?
northern. Those are those constellations, and I was getting okay, now I don't know. Okay. So
and you just have to remember, there is a very, very large pointer in the south called the Southern Cross. If you can see the Southern Cross and the two pointers, you can work out where south is. You can navigate your way from there.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's just when I went to South Texas and down in Florida, you look up and Orion's in the wrong spot. Yeah. I can't imagine going 60 degrees more to get to Christchurch. Orion has to just barely be skimming the horizon, right?
In the summer, or like right now, it's in the northwest, and it's about between 30 and 40 degrees peak. But give it, by 1:30 in the morning, it's already setting. So, and in the winter, we won't see it at all.
Right.
So yeah, and then then it's time to switch to the south and pick up along the Milky Way.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So now you mentioned, Simon, that you're from the UK, originally born in the UK anyways. When did you make your way to New Zealand?
I came in here in 2008.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite funny. I kind of I left my job in Europe because I wanted a change of scenery. I'd been working and living in Germany for 7 years. Yeah. I wanted to go back to an English-speaking country. Did a little bit of a tour around Australia. I've done some time in Canada as well.
Sure.
Whoa! In the United States, you can't say I've done time because that has a certain implication of that maybe you didn't just mean. Yeah.
I was
on it and stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. I didn't have an invite to a big house somewhere for a while. No.
Right.
And then I decided to come on a holiday to New Zealand and fell in love with New Zealand and stayed here and got a job and met a lovely girl here. So got married, and so now we're settled. Now we're settled in. We've got we've got 10 acres here in Canterbury, and we share hobbies. Christina does. She's horse riding. And we got a few animals around the farm here and some telescopes.
Yeah. And were you as involved in astronomy when you were living in Europe, or didn't have much?
No. Germany is impossible really because of the light pollution. I lived in Dusseldorf, in the middle of the city. I did do some radio astronomy. So that was something I've done in the past, and I've done things like I was a radio ham for some years and doing things like bouncing signals off the moon with radio.
What?
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Very
So the moon is a great big reflector, and if you point an antenna at it and push some radio signals at it, it will reflect them. And of course, aurora as well. You can do the same with aurora. So aurora borealis, the northern lights, actually is to low VHF is reflective, and you can bounce signals off the auroral curtain as well. So and of course meteors. So meteor trails are also reflective. They're ionized and they reflect radio signals too. So in fact, a lot of the observatories will use radio because, you know, if they want to observe during meteor shower and they think it might be cloudy, if you set up a radio on an empty channel where you think there's a distant broadcast station, when the meteor burns up between you and it will reflect, and you will hear the sort of short burst of signal.
Yeah.
So
you can do the same thing if you have an old tune radio, which nobody has in their cars. I would do that. You know, when I was growing up, Dad showed us that, and we would tune to a station we knew was distant and couldn't hear it, and then you for a few seconds you'd hear this music. Could almost hear music playing and stuff. It was very cool.
Yeah. So there is a ton of ways of doing astronomy, not just visual or imaging. Radio astronomy is quite busy. You know, our sun is a big radio noise source, as a lot of our objects in our night sky are. You know, so a lot of pulsars and radio sources in galaxies. So there's always something to do. I told you I was a nerd and a geek.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. There was once upon a time that wasn't cool, but now it's like totally cool. So, you know, that's right. Simon, I'm curious. You know, I don't know if you've seen any of our Global Star Party programs, but and not to put you on the spot here at all, but I would like for you to carry back to your club the idea of the Canterbury Astronomical Society co-hosting one of our Global Star Parties. I think that would be very awesome, you know, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've just actually last weekend, we were at our Southern Star Party here in New Zealand. We were camping for 3 days. There is a little, it's a Christian camp just to the south of Christchurch in a place called Methven. And we camped out for 3 days and got a few good nights of observing. Yeah. We had about 60 campers out there with all sorts of telescopes, and we did a whole bunch of lectures and talks about different astronomy topics. We had some solar observing during the days.
Yeah.
So we had a little setup of solar scopes. And then in the evenings, then it's everybody's out in on the lawns, dragging out telescopes, and we have everything from, you know, the little sort of, you know, 70 millimeter, you know, tripod mounted kit, you know, sort of beginner's scopes, Dobbs, all the way through to, you know, big 14-inch Schmidt-Cassegrains, everything in between.
Everything. Wow, this sounds fabulous. It really does. It really does. I'm going to have to make the trip down myself sometime. I think
love to host you, Scott. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll carry your suitcase for you.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll have to have somebody go with me, right? So you don't have to carry my suitcase. You carry your own. So.
We look forward to welcoming everybody back once we're out of COVID. That'll be great. So.
The problem then will be that there's not enough airplanes to take people where they want to go, and tickets will go through the roof.
Probably.
Actually, that's not what they're saying. They're saying international travel really won't come back until about 2024.
Really?
Where it is. Yeah.
You might get a bargain then, Kent.
Yeah, I think there's going to be bargains out there. So, you know, there's international tourism's way down. Worldwide, it's down by 70%. So it's going to take a while to come back.
Yeah, we're really hit here in New Zealand because, of course, a lot of the tourism is from overseas. A lot of people wanting to visit, so there's a big push right now for Kiwis to get it back out and rediscover the country, which they're doing in droves. Really are. Yeah.
That's good.
Nowhere else to go. We're on an island. We can't escape.
Yeah. But you're on a beautiful island. New Zealand is super beautiful. I've had friends that have traveled down there and photographed it, and landscape photographers really. And to me, it looked like some of the most beautiful spots on Earth. So
if you're a photographer, it's a dream. People come here just for photography holidays. There is so much to take in. If you like landscapes, then this is the place.
Now, do you drive on the left-hand side of the road primarily, of the? I mean, where
we're this? on the left. We're the same as any Europe.
Or on the right. Yeah. How is Is it like driving in Britain?
Yeah, exactly the same. The road laws are pretty much the same. The cars are pretty much the same. Okay. So European sort of UK driving is the normal here. Yeah.
I see. Okay. I don't know that I could drive over there and not accidentally pull into the wrong lane or something. That might be a problem.
I think you get used to it after a little while. I had the same thought when I lived in Europe. How the heck am I going to manage this? But
Germany, guys, like they do in USA. So
since you're on the bottom of the globe, though, isn't everything backwards?
It's all upside down, Ken. That's
right. It's upside down, not backwards. There we go. So then this is something I didn't realize. I saw a right-hand drive car, and I realized the gas, clutch, and brake pedal were all the same as on our cars. I guess I just thought maybe they were backwards for some reason.
Just the driving position.
Yeah.
So
everything else is the same. It's just the steering wheel's in our passenger seat. I was fascinated by that.
And we're pretty rural here, so a lot of our we don't have any really big freeways, motorways. We've got a couple around the sort of cities, but a lot of the time it's more rural roads. And certainly where I live, I mean, we're not even tar sealed where I live. We're on a gravel track, so we're pretty rural.
Well, I was just looking at some pictures of Christchurch, and beautiful city. You got nice hotels there. I think it'd be a great place to have a vacation.
I'm quite happy if anybody wants to give me a shout if they're thinking of coming to New Zealand when things get back to normal. Quite happy to help out and guide people. Even welcome them as visitors to the society and show them the skies.
What is your club's website address?
It is cas.org.nz. So it's the Canterbury Astronomical Society.org.nz.
cas.org.nz.
NZ. Org.nz. Yep.
Okay, great.
It took me a while to get that NZ because they said they
Z. Yeah, NZ. Yeah. Yep. NZ.
Right. Very good. Very good. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us at all, Simon? I mean, it's just I know that you have a lot of experience in imaging, outreach. What do you find the most fulfilling part of all that you do down there?
If I'm honest, I love what we do at the observatory with our visitors. I mean, I love imaging, and I do a lot of that myself. But it's a very sort of insular thing because my gear is highly automated. So if I'm imaging, I tend to set up and then sleep some of the night so that I can function the next day. I've got quite a big team across New Zealand in my daytime job. And I need to be fairly functional the next day.
Yes.
and so a lot of it is automated. It's quite insular. Astrophotography, unless you're doing it in a group. And we do share. We've got a small group in the society who communicate online if we're imaging, like last night.
Sure.
but I love doing the outreach stuff. I really do. It's very fulfilling, and nothing beats standing next to a family looking through one of our big telescopes and looking at Saturn or Jupiter for the first time.
Yeah.
And you get that, wow.
Yeah.
You can't beat that. You just can't beat that. And
I miss that.
Yeah, and we get people coming back to the observatory, 5, 6, 7 times. They'll come back multiple times in a winter, and they always find something new, and they always go away. It's great. We loved it. Fantastic. To me, that's brilliant. I can go home, and it's hard work. We're working all day. We get to the observatory at 6:30 in the evening. The gates open 7:20. We run till 9:30, 10 o'clock if people don't want to go home.
And they just come in, right?
And then the next day we're back at work, or we're into our own stuff. I'll go home from the observatory and start my own imaging, or if we've got a whole bunch of people up there, we'll just set up and continue on, and into the small hours, even with our own members. And we take that opportunity to train our own members too on our equipment and get them accredited so that they can drive the gear themselves. But I love that. I really, really love what we, talking to people about astronomy and helping get them into the hobby. We have so many people who are like, oh, I want to buy a telescope. I don't know what to buy. And they quite often will be showing you, pictures of, really big scopes, and you're like, okay, let's just slow down a little. Let's get you involved. And we get a lot of people come into the society, and we teach them, let them have access to our gear, and then they will go and buy their own scope and bring it along. So that to me is paying it forward, bringing the youngsters into the hobby, and then seeing them grow and educate themselves. It's fabulous. I get a lot of kick out of that. It's great fun.
Yeah, that's great. Now, in New Zealand, do you guys have a primary? Is there like a big astronomy shop down there that you like to go to, or?
We are pretty limited in terms of suppliers. Actually, we have the main supplier is in Auckland, and it's actually part of the Auckland Astronomical Society. They set up a company to import and distribute gear, which is a company called Astrons. Okay. And they do most of the supply. We've got a couple of local stores, that do sort of more lower end beginners telescopes, binoculars, microscopes, things like that. And there's a sort of a more general sort of telescope and camera store in Auckland, Jacobs Digital, that do this kind of stuff. But for most of us, I'm afraid it's if we're wanting imaging gear, for example, or anything like a solar scope, then it's an import task. When it comes down to specialized gear like CMOS cameras, etc., then the choice is fairly limited, and you're having to bring it in, which has been difficult during COVID with transport. Yeah. Been good for the secondhand market though.
Yes, that's true.
You try and buy something secondhand on on any of the pages, that it's gone. It's like like vultures.
Price too. So whatever it is. Well, that's cool. We got a comment here. Tim Slay says, my daughter spent the spring semester 2020 at the University of Canterbury. When COVID hit, she and her friends felt like they were the only Americans left in the country. They toured for weeks and they loved it. So that's great.
I'm glad they enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm weird that the Kiwi hospitality is out of this world. I mean, they I did some touring around, and you can talk to all sorts of people. You drive down a country road here, and you'll get the little the finger, the wave, wave and say hello. It's
that's nice.
Yeah, it's a very friendly culture and very sort of close-knit community. And we had a lot of student visitors who some got left behind and got stuck here, and they've been very welcomed into the community.
I'm sure worse things could have happened. So
Oh, we had some people. We had some people here who came here for a 4-week holiday, and they've been here a year.
Yeah, but let's face it, there are far worse places.
Yeah,
to get stuck than New Zealand.
Yeah, we've done pretty good with COVID, and I think I could think of a lot worse places to get stuck.
Oh yeah. Well, that's great. I think people here are like saying we need to have a New Zealand star party, so maybe we do that. We should
Explore Alliance.
Cogitate. Yeah, Explore Alliance down under experience, something like that.
Yeah, it'd be great. I'm quite happy to help you out with that for sure.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, we got some just to the south of us, a couple of hours to the south is Tekapo, which is an international dark sky reserve, and that is an incredible place. It's very magical. They're well away from any of the cities, well away from any of the towns, and that's where Mount John Observatory is, where the University of Canterbury have some of their facilities, actually, it was a site it started off back in the 50s and with a satellite tracking station for Cold War satellites with equipment supplied by the Americans.
Sure.
And it's grown into quite a educational facility and research. We had some big telescopes there. We had MOA, which is an exoplanet hunter. It's visited certainly when we were not in COVID, we had a lot of international visitors come and observe from there. So that would be the place.
All right. Sounds like the plan.
All right. Yep.
So, be careful what you are agreeing to here, Simon.
I'm fully aware of what I might be agreeing to.
Okay.
He's got 10 acres. We can pitch how many tents on 10 acres?
Oh, I can get a lot on here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You said acres. You think acres, not hectare?
So we measure our land here in acres and hectares.
Okay.
Yeah. So most people would refer to acres more than so they refer to the lifestyle plot here is what they call these 10-acre blocks. So it's a fairly standard size, 5 or 10 acres that get subdivided, and that's a lifestyle plot, or as some people in my office would say, a life sentence block, because there's a lot of work in maintaining it.
Yeah.
But I have some sheep. They mow the grass, and I don't have too much of a problem.
Perfect.
My son does the same thing. He just turns the horses out into his front yard and closes the gate, and he literally does not mow.
No, I try not to mow. The sheep are better. Sheep are better at getting in all the corners than I am.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wonderful. Simon, thank you so much for coming on to the program today.
Loved it. Great. Thank you very much, Scott. I really appreciate it. I've been a long time user of Explore Scientific gear.
Oh, thank you.
And I know Tyler was keen to get me involved, and of course you're internationally recognizable, so I really appreciate the offer and the invite. So
thank
honored.
you. We'll have you on the show again, and
sure.
I'm going to get serious about thinking of certainly a global star party, and maybe in 2022 we can have a star party in New Zealand. I think that'd be awesome. So
look forward to welcoming you and Kent. And anybody else that wants to come down and visit New Zealand, more than happy to
go down there on your own too. So do it safely and plan it out. A big trip like that does require a lot of logistics, especially when you're thinking about bringing your own equipment down and everything. So, I've done that a couple of times where I've gone to other countries and stuff with astronomical gear, and it's certainly something you can do, but you want to have a professional handle your stuff and have it packed right. Okay. Because when you go to anyone visiting another country, it's like you're visiting another planet as far as getting out there, and it's hard to get backup gear, so.
Scott, what did you, for the eclipse,
I went to Chile, yeah.
2 pallets or 3 pallets of stuff? I mean, it was a mountain.
Yeah, I had 3 pallets of stuff. When I went to Hawaii, which is like going, you're flying, across the ocean. It's very remote. I had 3 airline containers full of gear for the eclipse in 1991. And, we were required, if it was electronic, to do the show for the documentary we were shooting. It was required that you had 3 layers of backup of anything electronic. So we had electronic parts for our telescopes, 3 layers of boards, cables, batteries, everything,
Wow.
And
that's a logistics nightmare.
You don't think you're going to break. You think, what? I tested it before I left. Everything was fine. And then you get somewhere and it doesn't work for some reason, and you can't just call somebody or get Amazon to deliver something. It's not going to happen, and so, but I did have a repair episode when I was on the Big Island. When I went to Chile in 2019 for the eclipse, brought, I had backup, 1 layer of backup. I didn't bring 3. But and we had a failure. And we had to deal with it. And thank God I had it, so it all worked out. But things like eclipses and big trips to do something special like this, definitely you want backup. And I know that the club has stuff, but we don't want to be poaching off of an astronomy club. We've
got a good we've got a good community here in New Zealand. All the big centres have got fairly busy societies, and so we have had people visit and want to borrow gear or come visit and use the gear at the clubs, and most of them are pretty open to helping out. The question I get asked a lot actually is, can we hire gear here in New Zealand? And that's really hard. It's not a concept that is familiar here in New Zealand around loaners or rentals. So yeah, if you're coming here and think you're going to pick up some gear as a rental, you'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
What a few people have done that I have visited here that I do know of, they would buy some gear here and then they would resell it, here on the local market, rather than try and import it, export it. But yeah, that's not 3 container loads worth though, Scott, So yeah, that's a different matter.
Yeah.
It would take you a few years to clear on the New Zealand market.
Maybe I bring container loads down there and then just sell it. So
yeah, that would be an option. That would work.
Be an option.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then actually, yeah, except then you have to pay the import duties on it, and that which y'all are used to paying the import duties on everything anyway. So
Right.
it's just part of the nature of the beast.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
Afraid if you import anything here, then yep, they're waiting at the border for you.
I bet you they.
Actually, one of the most important things, the biggest message, if anybody's coming here, the biggest message I can say, to save yourself some money, when you come in, there is very strict biosecurity at the borders. Pay attention to the letter, because they don't mess around, and it's a $400 fine straight away without any thought, whatever.
So no food, no animal products.
There are certain foods that are allowed, but it's mostly if they've been processed and actually, canned or wrapped or anything like that. And fruits, nuts, berries, anything like that. Definitely no live animals or anything like that.
No comfort
Things like
animals.
no things like no raw fruit. Like people people get given bananas or oranges on planes and put them in their bag, and they go into the airport, and of course they get a little card that says, have you got any fruit and vegetables? And they go, no, I didn't bring any fruit and vegetables with me. They forgot they got a banana or an orange on the plane. They've shoved it in their bag. They get to the check and they go, yeah, and then they go, what's this?
Yeah, $400, please.
$400, pitching. Sorry.
Is that for fruit that you're bringing in, or just at one time?
Yeah, fruit, vegetables, anything like that.
Okay,
And
so
there's a
$400 worth of stuff. Yeah. Okay.
There's a strict list. I think the fine would go up if you bring a banana and it's $400. You bring a bag, it's prorated. But yeah, you need to be real. So anybody coming to New Zealand, really careful about that. Telescope stuff, no problem.
No problem. And is there anything that if you're visiting New Zealand that you shouldn't do or shouldn't say or shouldn't act a certain way because that's bad manners?
I think as a society, we're a pretty open and liberal, tolerant. We've got a very multicultural society here in New Zealand, so that isn't an issue. Not really. There's not really anything that I would go, oh, really don't do that. We're pretty tolerant. We don't have a tipping culture. That's something to get your head around if you come here. We don't survive on tips. The people are paid a decent wage. So tipping is usually if you're really, we're really impressed with the service. But even then, that's a little strange. But no, I think it's really we're a pretty tolerant and open society. It's a pretty relaxed environment. Just if you come here and you want to know something, just don't be afraid to ask. I think that's the thing that people get a little phased by, because in big cities or something, if you ask somebody, they would look at you very strangely. But here, it's like, oh well, we'd expect you to ask and give you directions. Say, hey, Ollie,
let me go jump
in the car. I'll take you down there. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Maybe I should retire in New Zealand. So that's cool.
You can't bring in wooden items.
Yeah, wood. Yeah,
wooden items prohibited.
Yeah.
Honey.
Honey. No, definitely not honey.
All dairy products.
We have a big honey producing.
The Manuka honey, right?
Manuka honey. Yeah.
Ingredients used in cooking. You can't bring in any spices.
No. Yeah.
Crayons, finger paints, and watercolors. Water paints.
Didn't know that one.
You can't bring in bongs or hash pipes. Or roach clips. Or roach clips. You can import.
I guess you can't go.
You can bring in human ashes, but you have to declare them.
Well, that's one way into the country.
I think if you're importing ashes in, they're probably going to stay in the country and become scattered along something.
You become part of New Zealand, which is great. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think there's any restrictions on very large refractors or anything in there. I think.
Okay, but here's Reed. Radio transmitters and telecommunications equipment that could present a problem for a PMC-8 system.
No, PMC-8 would be Wi-Fi is okay. I think what they're talking about there would be like radio transmitters, like walkie-talkies, like mobile equipment, stuff that requires a license.
Okay, dog tracking devices, radio transmitters, cordless phones, cell phones.
Cell phones?
Cell phones, to be imported, they have to meet the New Zealand technical standards set by the Radio Spectrum Management.
I don't think there's no restriction in bringing in a mobile phone or anything.
Baby monitors.
Yeah, transmitter.
Yeah. Now this is coming from the customs website for the government. So,
but the real message is all the telescope gear we want to bring in. No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. There's
No
no
problem.
scopes. There's no scopes in that list. And that's great.
That's good. Yeah. So
All right. Excellent. All right, Simon, thank you. Thank you very much for spending time with us today. We're going
It's
to,
been a pleasure. Thank you very much for the invite.
and you can
Thanks.
stick around if you want to, or you can bounce out.
Yeah,
Whatever you need to do.
I'm going to bounce out. I've got work to do now. I'm in the middle of the working day, but if you reach out again, Scott, I'm more than happy to maybe give you a whiz around the sky and our winter
Yeah.
skies here and show you what we're seeing. So
I will
very happy to.
absolutely take you up on that. Thank you, Simon. Take care.
Thanks, guys. See you. Have a great day.
See you. Nice to meet you. Bye.
Cheers. All.
All right. So today, what we wanted to concentrate on, that was a great conversation, by the way.
Let's just save this for next time. I mean, we're at 5 o'clock now.
Well, let's talk for a few minutes about
Okay. All right.
what we're going to talk about here, which was, what do you do after a star party? Okay. And, we talked about how to prepare for a star party, and actually people followed up with the following day, still wanting more information about that. And Jerry Hubble and I, basically our big advice is that before you leave, that you set your whole telescope system up. Okay. You turn it on, everything's connected. Okay. Every nut and bolt and adapter and everything that you were going to do, it's soup to nuts, is assembled, checked, okay? And then you tear it all down and it goes into the vehicle. So you don't forget something, okay, which is the big deal. And you know that everything at least worked before you took off for your dark sky sight. Now, I did also mention that after a star party, and I used to run an astronomy club myself, and I would find that I could go out to the site and find things like adapters, filters, eyepieces, and that kind of thing. Because some people pack up in the middle of the night, okay, they're tired, and they forget something. And sometimes they forget some big things, So, what's your big advice for, as you're packing up and getting ready to go home?
Don't be in a hurry. Hurry is your enemy at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Take your time. And I have a very specific pack and unpack routine. I know where I'm going to put it. I know how it's going to fit in. I know how I'm going to take it down in a specific order that's unique to me. Every star party, there's people hang around to the very end and talking to the scopes, and you start to tear something down and say, "Can I help?" And no, I'd love to let you, but I've got my own system that I follow. And if I start letting other people get involved, then I forget something. And when I forget something, I leave a telescope sitting on the tailgate of my pickup truck, which has happened to a customer. He got home and he was unpacking his stuff. This guy in Georgia, he was unpacking his stuff, and he's like, "Where's my telescope?" And he realized, and so he drove back looking for it, and he found it. It had been run over by a truck.
Oh my God.
Well, there's this little thing called the Explore Scientific lifetime warranty.
Warranty, right?
And he produced those pieces,
Yeah.
and we fixed it for him. We fixed it by sending him a new telescope.
A new telescope.
Yeah.
Sometimes
So-
it's the only fix there is.
Yeah, so take your time. Don't be in a hurry. Once you're done, this could be a problem if there's still people who are out viewing. But if everybody's tearing down, use a flashlight and go 10 feet past where your viewing area was. Walk all the way around your vehicle.
Yeah.
Look
Star
under it.
maps.
Look for everything.
Yeah.
But
Lawn
you're not
chairs.
lawn chairs, and and I always search the entire field. I'm one of the last people to leave. I'll go walk over the entire field looking for what people left, just like you've talked about, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find eyepieces, adapters, some end caps,
And
front
flashlight.
caps,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So you drive home. You're done. No, you're not done, especially if it's been a really cold where you got frost or dew.
Yeah.
You need to take the telescopes out into the house or into wherever your storage area is. And if they're in a case, open them up and let them dry out, because you want to get that moisture off of them. You can wipe them down with a towel or a microfiber cloth or a sponge to get the humidity off the outside. Don't touch the glass. Same with your eyepieces. If that stuff's got dew on it, you need to open it up so that it dries out and becomes, you don't cause rust or cause corrosion or just attract a lot of goo to your telescope, or eyepieces or whatever. So the trick is to establish a routine and stick to that routine in that specific order, and don't change it. Now it can evolve, sure, but don't change it, big time. Don't start by taking the telescope apart first and then get all your accessories, and the next time get all your accessories and do the telescope. Think through what the process is and how it's going to pack.
Sure.
And that will help you not forget stuff or leave
stuff.
stuff.
A checklist. You can have a checklist of all the stuff that you brought, and
it's right here. Yeah. And there was a star party, I never wrote that checklist down, for beginners, that most assuredly would be a great idea.
I mean, if you have a lot of gear,
Yeah. The only time at any star party I was that I've had a problem in all the years was at a star party, a public star party, and there was a lot of people, and I was packing up, and I got my case that I keep my laser pointer in, and it's gone. And I don't know if I lost it or, it got taken, but that thing disappeared, and I spent looking for it. It never turned up, and I don't know what happened, but that's the only thing I personally have ever lost or misplaced, other than maybe a lens cap that fell off and rolled, half a mile down the parking lot and it disappeared somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Although Charles,
wind blow things like charts and maps on the table, and it's way out across the road, even, so that
the other thing is, I do not leave until the last person leaves with me. I don't want to leave anybody sitting in the parking lot.
But
and
you're
if
a club president, right? So
well, no, it's just because that's me. I'm that guy. Like when I dropped my daughter off at the store she works at yesterday, when it was 10 degrees, I sat there in the parking lot until she got inside the store. Not because I was worried about getting her kidnapped. I was worried about her getting frozen to death. If she sat there banging on the door, I got some warm rescue. I dropped the babysitter off. I watch her to make sure she gets in the front door and the door shuts. Then I leave. And I've always
a few more seconds. I mean,
exactly, because I don't want to be find out that if I hadn't, that something bad happened because I decided to hurry and leave. If I'm going to leave, I'll tell Scott Roberts, hey, Scott, are you going to stay till the end to make sure everybody's, I'll find somebody that I trust to do that duty as well.
Count on. Yeah. Right.
But follow routine. Got to have a routine, and don't let other people help, because that disrupts your thoughts, your process.
Yes, it does.
So,
well, we do need to cover that in more detail, and we'll do that for the next show. Tomorrow, we have the landing of the Perseverance rover. That's going to be really exciting. So we're not going to have our daily show, tomorrow, because there's going to be lots of television coverage and internet coverage on this. I don't want you guys to miss any of it. I'm going to be watching it myself. So I'll come on earlier in the day with some links and tell you where you can watch various things. But it's going to be a great time, and keeping my fingers crossed for the team. The team at JPL. So I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be awesome. Really.
3:55 Central, I think, is the time. Is when confirmation will happen.
Yeah. And earlier in the day, I think actually like 11 o'clock in the morning or something, NASA television will be on covering, the final hours, before the landing. And the landing technology is awesome too. Of course, they talk about this 7 minutes of terror where they have no, I mean, the thing works or it doesn't, you know, and, but they have this amazing kind of guidance system. You know, they're going to go into Jericho crater, which is a treacherous landing site. And so they need to look at the, terrain all the way down, you know, and so, so it's going to be really a very precision kind of landing. And, you know, I can imagine that they'll be referring back to that kind of landing technology for a long time to come. So, because we want to get to the places where it's really interesting, and where it's really interesting is not often the best, you know, flattest place to go with your craft. Anything else you'd like to add there, Kent?
Nope. Keep, you know, help other people out. Find somebody that needs your help and go help that person.
Yeah, good advice. Good advice. All right. Well, for all of you in the audience, thanks for watching today. You know, we want to thank Mr. Lewis again for being with us, and until next time, we'll see you soon. Take care.